Hey, everybody, it's Bergeron here with you, and today we're going to talk about pointillism, and particularly my brand of pointillism, which is infused a little bit with fauvism. And I'll put definitions of these up on the screen for you so you can see what they are. But essentially, pointillism is a whole bunch of dots that are connected together to form an image. In other words, a whole bunch of individual points that come together to form some type of a structure on the page. And fauvism, fauve means wild beast in French. So to me, I like combining these crazy, wonderful colors together with pointillism and give us a completely different style of painting. Today we're going to use this, which is Liquitex Professional Ink, and this is the iridescent set. So in this set, you'll see it comes with 3 colors. Okay, so we have this, which is copper, which I'm going to use as my red, and this, which is gold, which I'm going to use as my yellow, and this, which is bright silver, which I'm going to use as my blue. Yeah, I know, crazy, right? All right, so what am I going to paint today? Well, this is an area that you may have seen me use many times before, but this is a place that I call the Birches. It's a real place. It's not too far from my house. This would be pointillism. Whole bunch of individual dots that come together to make a color or a group of colors or to form a structure. Okay? But it's kind of wild colors. It's not normal everyday colors. This is the same place done again. This is pencil crayon. Same place done again. This is ink and watercolor. And this is just a drawing. Just a normal drawing done with Sharpie. But I've taken that image and I've transferred that image just with regular graphite pencil onto this piece of watercolor paper that was ruled out at 8 inches by 10 inches. This is a 9 by 12 piece of paper. So I drew, I took this image and enlarged it, and I made this image on this piece of paper. And this piece of paper had a yellow background, so there was a yellow ground on here. And then I made this sort of a turquoise kind of a color on top of it. And you can, I don't know if you can, it'll show up on camera, but it's very textured. So there's a lot of paint on this. It actually took way more than a day for it to dry. Quite a bit of paint on here. So what I have to do is I have to decide what color is my trees going to be. You know, my trees in this particular instance were birch trees. That's not going to work on here. It would work on here if I just let the silver stand in as silver and painted all these trees with little silver dots, and that might be something that I could do. But then the question would be, how would I get green and other things like that? So I think maybe what I'm going to do for these trees is I am going to paint them silver and let the ball lie where it may and see what happens. But let's see what happens when we take this and we use this as our color. One of the things that this does is it settles a lot. You don't want to shake it or you get too many bubbles in it. You want to swirl it around. All right, so just swirl it around. Don't shake it too much. Swirl it in different directions. And you'll be able to tell when it starts to mix up really well. So I'm going to start off, I'm going to take all the color off this thing, and I'm just going to set this over to the side. And you'll see there's quite a few bubbles in there. We're going to burst those bubbles. I'm going to use today this ink, which is a latex ink, together with my #1 watercolor brush. And that's what I'm going to use to do the first bunch of dots on here. So let's see how this turns out. I'll grab my chair. Okay, so I'm back and I have this silver ink that was on here. Remember, we're using this Liquitex professional ink, iridescent bright silver. And I don't know if you can see it on camera. We'll try to zoom in on it in post, but it's very, very shiny. It's kind of, it's a very cool kind of a color. It's different, but I want to take out some of these pencil lines here right now. So I'm just going to take my eraser and I'm just going to erase that. Okay, so I'm going to paint in a little bit more of this tree. And I think right now I'm going to put a little bit of this iridescent rich copper onto this tree. Okay, so I decided I was going to move over to some of these Pebeo colors because this isn't going in the direction that I wanted it to go. So I'm going to go in a slightly different direction here. And these Pebeo oil paints have some really, really unique colors, and they have some really unique texture that they come up with, but they, much like the Liquitex ink that I was just showing you a minute ago, they have to really be shook extraordinarily long, and they really have to be mixed up quite a bit. All right, so this is turquoise that I have right here, and move some of this stuff out of my way. And I'm going to apply this with a stick. If you haven't seen me do this before, this is just a normal stick that's cut to a point, and I pick up some of the oil paint like this, and I'm just going to touch it on here. So this is the next day, and this has all had a chance to dry. It's all, some parts of it are a little tacky still, where I put this Pebeo oil paint on there. Some parts are a little tacky, but I wanted to look at this with you and just say, it reads a little cold to me. It reads like it's a cold temperature. And that's okay. I'm perfectly fine with that. I put this little mat on here so you could see sort of what it is that I can frame in or frame out. Obviously, you can move this a little bit more to include more tree, include more ground, whatever it's going to be. We're not at the point yet where we have to decide any of that. So I'll just set that mat over there. But if you look at this, I want you to consider, what is it about this that we're missing? And for me, what we're really missing is that contrast between, I should say complement between the blue and what should be on the other side of the color wheel, but orange. Okay, so blue complements orange, orange complements blue. There is some orange on here, but not very much. And certainly there's not enough on here that is making it stand out off the page. So the next part that I'm going to do here is I'm going to add some more gold, which is sort of close to orange. And I'm going to add a little bit more of this apricot onto here. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, so I think that's it for this one, and let's just go over the steps that I used for this. To took a piece of Canson watercolor paper that was normal 9 by 12 and I measured it out to be 8 by 10, and I drew my pencil line on there. I covered it all with yellow acrylic, and then I mixed together blue and a green with a lot of white to get this sort of almost turquoise like background. And I let that dry, and if you recall, this has a lot of texture in the background. I don't know if you can see that, but the paint is very textured. And then onto that, I drew my area that I call the birches, which is these birch trees. And then I used the Liquitex iridescent professional ink to do the trees and some of the background. And then I went at it and I did all of the leaves primarily with this Pebeo Prisma Fantasy colors, which are oil. So this is acrylic ink, and then Pebeo oil. And I think it's turned out all right. It's kind of a pretty good composition for me. I really like it. I really enjoyed doing it. I hope you liked it. I hope you learned something from this. If you did learn something from this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're currently a subscriber, I thank you very much. And if you're not currently a subscriber, please consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks a lot for checking me out. If you got any questions, leave them in the comments section. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks a lot for checking me out.